Have you ever heard of a company with an ambition so huge it sounds like science fiction? I'm talking about a plan to sell civilization in a box and literally rewire the entire planet. Well, that company is real, and it's called DeReticular. So today, we're going to dig in and figure out if they're building a brilliant new future or if they're just chasing an impossible dream. And, they're not exactly shy about it. This is a real quote from their 2025 year in review document. We ended the year by rewiring the planet. I mean, that's a statement that's so bold it almost sounds crazy, but it tells you everything you need to know about how they see themselves. They truly believe they're kicking off the next industrial revolution. So that really is the big question, isn't it? Is this plan a genius blueprint for our future, or is it just a complete fantasy? We're going to dive into their documents, from the shiny, optimistic marketing stuff all the way down to the gritty, internal financial reports to see if this grand vision can actually survive contact with reality. Okay, first up, let's talk about the dream. This is the polished, almost utopian vision that DeReticular is selling to the world. And honestly, it's pretty compelling. The heart of their entire pitch is something they call the sovereign stack. The best way to think about it is like a Lego set for building a whole new society from the ground up. It's a complete starter kit for a community to be totally self-sufficient, designed to run in what they call island mode, completely cut off from the old, fragile infrastructure we all rely on today. And this whole thing is built on a really radical idea they call the death of the line. They are basically declaring war on the 20th century. They're saying that big, centralized power grids and these long, brittle supply chains are totally obsolete. Their big solution? A global network or mesh of self-reliant nodes, little islands of power and production that could literally change the map of the world. So, how does this civilization in a box actually work? Let's pop the hood and see what makes this thing run. This is where it gets really smart. They've built the company to work like a living organism. You've got Agri.Energy, that's the heart, pumping out clean power 24/7. Then there's Curb Cars, the muscle, doing all the autonomous heavy lifting and logistics. BizBuilder Mike is the brain, the software that runs the entire show. And finally, Deus Rus is the interface, which is how people securely connect to this whole powerful machine. And this is where it all clicks together into what they call the infinite loop. It's amazing. Agrodot makes power from local waste. The RIOS brain takes that power and decides where it needs to go. Then, the Curb Cars use that very same power to go out and autonomously fetch more waste to fuel the power plant. It's a completely self-sustaining industrial cycle, a perfect closed loop. Okay, so it all sounds fantastic on a whiteboard, but does any of this stuff actually work in the real world? Well, DeReticular decided to find out by taking their big idea to one of the most challenging environments you could possibly imagine. Their big test is called Project Octagon. It's a network of 8 different sites set up in some of the most extreme climates on Earth. We're talking deep cold in Canada, scorching heat in Arizona, but the real test, the one that can make or break this entire company, is Node 4, right in Kabong, Uganda. This is where the dream is supposed to become a reality. And if you ask DeReticular, the Uganda project is a massive success. Their claim is that they're powering a huge industrial park using nothing but local hemp waste. Now, if they can actually pull that off, they've basically proven their model can work anywhere, no matter how remote. So, the dream is working perfectly in Uganda. Or is it? Okay, it's time to pull back that curtain and look at the cold, hard numbers. And believe me, this is where the story gets really, really interesting. So, in 2025, DeReticular's books show this number. Nearly $50 million in deployed capital. Now, that is the kind of figure that screams success, right? It suggests a company that's backed by big investors and is ready to take over the world. But, as you're about to see, things are not always what they seem. And boom, here it is. This slide shows the massive disconnect. On the left, you have the powerful story that $50 million number tells, but on the right, you have the shocking truth from their official 409A valuation. In reality, the company is bootstrapped, founder-owned, pre-revenue with zero outside investment. And the actual fair market value of a single share? A whopping 78 cents. That $50 million? It isn't cash. It's the value they assigned to their own work and ideas. And if you're wondering why that valuation is so low, well, here you go. This comes from their own internal analysis, and it is just a whole list of red flags. They can't build their machines fast enough. They can't find enough people trained to operate them. Their crypto tokens are basically worthless. Regulators might misclassify their tech. and the whole system is so complex that only an engineer could possibly use it. And then there's this bombshell, straight from that same valuation report. The company is default dead. That's a term from Silicon Valley that means a company has already run out of money. It just hasn't crashed and burned yet. They are caught in a classic trap. And without a huge infusion of cash, and fast, this entire grand experiment is about to end very, very suddenly. So you're on the very brink of collapse. What do? You go for a Hail Mary pass, a desperate, long-shot gamble that they have code-named Operation Pathfinder. And this right here really shows you just how big their problem is. The public vision is a fleet of 50 autonomous rovers. The reality? At the end of 2025, they had exactly 0 completed vehicles. Their main asset for this grand fleet was literally a box of 20 wireless radios. The brains with no bodies. So how on earth do you build a global network when you have no money? You make a bet, a huge, high-leverage bet. The plan is to take a tiny $35,000 and use it to perform a miracle they hope will convince investors to finally hand over $1 million. Okay, you have to hear this plan. It is absolutely wild. Step 1, spend your last 35 grand to ship one tiny suitcase node to the middle of nowhere in Uganda. Step 2, get that thing online and stream live data back to a room full of skeptical investors. And step 3, use that single blinking light on a screen as proof to get them to write you a check for $1 million so you can build out the rest of the network. I mean, no pressure, right? All right. So we have seen the incredible dream, the nightmarish reality, and the absolutely desperate plan to bridge the two. The only question left is, can they actually pull this off? So when you boil it all down, this is the core conflict. On one hand, you have this massive vision of a civilization in a box that could solve some of the world's biggest problems. On the other, you have the brutal reality of a bootstrapped company on the verge of dying. And right in the middle, you have this insane highwire plan to turn a suitcase in Uganda into a global industrial network. Look, DeReticular has a blueprint that could genuinely lead to a new industrial age. But as we've seen, a brilliant idea is never enough. The real question is whether they have what it takes, the grit, the luck, the sheer nerve, to close that massive gap between their vision and their reality. The fate of their company, and maybe just a little piece of our future, is hanging in the balance.